So, who's in my Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame? Class of 2002? Up first, Andre the Giant. The eighth wonder of the world, Andre was larger than life and not because of his size. Truly an iconic legend. Andre may be best remembered for headlining the biggest WrestleMania of all time when he went head to head with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3. But for as hated as he was in the ring, he was loved even more outside of the ring. He was a pop culture icon with his starring role in The Princess Bride. He was a former world and tag champion. PWI awarded him the most popular wrestler of the year twice, most hated wrestler, match of the year twice versus Killer Khan and Hulk Hogan, and the Editor's Award. On this channel, he's a former top wrestler champion and was in the top 10 back-to-back years, number 7 in 85 and number 2 in 86. That makes him eligible to be in the exclusive Triple Diamond Club. Up next, Barbarian. Few were as tough as the Barbarian. Although he had success as a singles wrestler, even challenged for the world title, he was most effective as a tag team wrestler, with great runs with the Warlord as the Powers of Pain and the Super Assassins, and with Ming as the Faces of Fear. In 91, he was ranked 85 in PWI's Top 500. He's a former top wrestler champion and ranked number 3 in the top 10 in 1988. This makes him a member of the Triple Diamond Club. Up next, Big Boss Man. In the WWF, there was one man who was going to hand out justice and make you serve hard time. The Big Boss Man. He's a former tag champion and hardcore champion. In 92, he was ranked number 23 in the PWI's Top 500. Up next, Greg the Hammer Valentine. This second generation wrestler was a master technician and could chop any man down to size. He's a former World Tag Champion, US Champion, US Tag Champion, Intercontinental Champion, US Champion, and TV Champion. PWI awarded him Most Hated Wrestler 3 times and ranked him number 49 in 1992's Top 500. Up next, Iron Sheik. This villain made life hell for American wrestlers back in the 80s. Didn't matter if he was on his own or with tag team partner Nikolai Volkov. He's a former world and tag champion. Up next, Jacques. As a singles wrestler, Jacques Rougeau had his best success as the Mountie, the crooked man of law from north of the border. In tag action, he was a part of 2 memorable teams, the Fabulous Rougeau brothers and the Quebecers. He's a former tag and intercontinental champion. In 1992, PWI ranked him 41 in their top 500. Up next, Jeff Jarrett. Double J has been everywhere. AWA, WWF, WCW, and now NWA TNA. Once a country music star known as Double J, he would get serious and win major wrestling gold. He's a former world, tag, intercontinental, US, European, and North American champion. AWA awarded him Rookie of the Year in 1998. PWI ranked him number 5 in their top 500 in 2000 and gave him and Jerry the King Lawler feud with the Moondogs in 92 the Feud of the Year award. He's a 4-time top wrestler champion and was ranked number 7 2 years in a row, 99 through 2000, in the top 10. That makes him eligible for the Triple Diamond Club. And he has been selected to be the head of the class for 2002. Up next, Jerry the King Lawler. The King was a legend down in Memphis during the territory days. He would rise to mainstream stardom when he began feuding with actor Andy Kaufman. He would unify the AWA World title and the WCC Heavyweight title. He would also be a mainstay in the USWA, where he would be their top wrestler the entire time they were in business. After that, he would slip comfortably behind the commentator's table, where he is currently one of the all-time greats. He is a former world and tag champion. He was awarded the PWI's Feud of the Year twice, once with Jeff Jarrett against the Moondogs and once against Bret Hart. Inspirational Wrestler of the Year and Most Hated Wrestler of the Year twice. He was also ranked number 7 in their top 500 in '92. Up next, Jim Neidhart. A part of the legendary Hart family dynasty, Jim the Anvil Neidhart was the powerhouse part of the Hart Foundation, the tag team with his brother-in-law Bret Hart. Whereas Bret was the calm one of the team, Jim was always seen as the crazy one. He's a former tag champion, and PWI ranked him number 61 in their top 500 in 1994. Up next, Kevin Sullivan. No matter if he was the Game Master or the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan was always front and center with his evil plan. He's a former World Tag and U.S. Tag Champion. He won PWI's Most Improved Wrestler of the Year and was ranked number 58 in 1994 in their top 500. Up next, Marty Jannetty. While he may never have reached the heights of his former Rockers partner Shawn Michaels, you can't discount what Marty has contributed to the ring. After his run with Shawn, Marty had a short but accomplished run as a single star and would even see more tag success when he teamed with the 1-2-3 Kid. He is a former tag and intercontinental champion. PWI awarded him and Shawn Match of the Year and was ranked number 13 in 1993 in their top 500. Up next, Mick Foley. Whether if it was Cactus Jack, Mankind, or Dude Love, Mick Foley is an absolute legend. In fact, he's the hardcore legend, as he's competed in many Japanese death matches. Many consider him unlikely to be a main eventer, but Mama's Foley's baby boy proved everyone wrong by becoming world champion and also main eventing WrestleMania. He's the only wrestler to have the same Royal Rumble match 3 different times, or to be entered into the Royal Rumble match 3 different times. And of course, his Hell in a Cell match with The Undertaker will go down as one of the most brutal matches of all time. After his retirement, he would become the commissioner of the WWF. He's a former World, Tag, and Hardcore champion. He won PWI's Most Inspirational Wrestler and Match of the Year in back-to-back years, versus The Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell and versus The Rock in an I Quit match. And he was ranked number 19 in their top 500 in 1999. He's also a 2-time Top Wrestler champion. Up next, Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig was the greatest technical wrestler ever. Was the main event caliber wrestler even in... Let me redo that one. He was a main event caliber wrestler even in his early AWA days. Holds the distinction of being the longest reigning IC champion during the 1990s and was the leader of the West Texas Rednecks. He's a former World, Tag, Intercontinental, and U.S. champion. He won PWI's Most Improved Wrestler award and was ranked number 9 in their top 500 in 1993. And he was ranked number 5 in our top 10 of 1988. Up next, Mr. Wonderful. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff was one of the 80s biggest stars, headlining the first WrestleMania and having a great run with and against Hulk Hogan. He would later turn up in WCW and have a successful run there as well. Once he retired, he would become a trainer at WCW. PWI awarded him Feud of the Year with Hulk Hogan, Match of the Year, his WrestleMania main event, and Most Hated Wrestler of the Year. In 1993, he ranked number 38 in their top 500. And he ranked number 10 in our top 10 in 1993. Up next, Owen Hart. Another member of the Hart family, Owen is Bret's younger brother. He was known as the Rocket, the King of Hearts, and the Black Heart. He brilliantly combined high-flying and technical style. Unfortunately, after a tragic accident, Owen died in the ring. He was a former Tag, Intercontinental, and European champion. He was the 1994 King of the Ring. PWI awarded him Rookie of the Year, Feud of the Year with his brother Bret, and the Editor's Award. In 1994, he was ranked number 10 in their top 500. He was ranked number 4 in our top 10 in 1994. Up next, Ricky Morton, one half of the legendary tag team, the Rock and Roll Express. The Rock and Roll Express has been wrestling consistently since the 80s and have appeared in every major promotion. Ricky even enjoyed a short success singles run in the early 90s. He's a former tag and six-man tag champion. PWI awarded the Rock and Roll Express the Tag Team of the Year, and he ranked number 56 in their top 500 in 1991. And he was ranked twice in our top 10, number 5 in 1987 and number 6 in 1990. Up next, Rikishi. Rikishi has had a long and storied career. First as Fatu, as a part of the Head Shrinkers / Samoan SWAT team. He'd go solo and even have a short stint as the Sultan. But he'd come into his own as Rikishi when he became the muscle for the tag team Too Cool. He'd later work his way up to main event status. He's a former tag and Intercontinental champion. PWI awarded him Comeback of the Year and ranked him at number 27 in their top 500 in 2000. Up next, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels started his career in the tag team The Rockers with Marty Jannetty. After super kicking his partner, then throwing him through a window, the Heartbreak Kid was born. HBK became one of the greatest Intercontinental champions of all time. His latter match with Razor Ramon is the stuff of legends. He became the first wrestler to win the Royal Rumble from the number 1 spot. The showstopper would realize his boyhood dream by beating Bret Hart at WrestleMania in a 60-minute Iron Man match. He was the first person to become the Grand Slam champion in WWF. Thought to have his career ended in 1998 after injuring his back in a casket match, only to return this year to active competition. He's a former World, Tag, Intercontinental, and European champion. He was the winner of the Royal Rumble in 1995 and 1996. PWI awarded him Match of the Year 4 years in a row, versus Marty Jannetty in 93, versus Razor Ramon in 94, versus Diesel in 95, and against Bret Hart in 1996. He won Most Popular Wrestler 2 years in a row, and he was ranked number 1 in their top 500 in 1996. He is a 7-time Top Wrestler champion. He also ranked in our top 10 twice, number 7 in 95 and number 2 in 96. That puts him in the Triple Diamond Club. Up next, Super Assassin number 1. Better known as the Warlord, he had his most success as one half of the Powers of Pain with the Barbarian. Warlord's power made him a force to be reckoned with. He's a former 6-man tag champion. PWI ranked him number 75 in their top 500 in 1991, and he ranked number 4 in our top 10 back in 1988. Up next, Super Invader. Better known as Hercules, super strong power wrestler, he had his best run when he stood up and refused to be a slave to the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. Later, he would have a short run with Paul Roma as Power and Glory. Up next, Ted DiBiase. The $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, super rich villain of the WWF who believed every man had a price. He would use his money to humiliate the opponents and even the fans. When he couldn't use his money to buy the world title, he would create the $1 Million Championship. Once he retired, he would form the $1 Million Corporation, and then later he would jump ship to WCW. He would then bankroll the NWO. He's a former tag champion, creator of the $1 Million Championship. PWI awarded him Most Hated Wrestler and ranked him number 17 in their top 500 in 1991. Up next, The Ultimate Warrior. The Warrior took WWF by storm when he entered the company. Quickly working his way up the ranks, he would have an epic encounter with Hulk Hogan in the main event at WrestleMania 6. Beating him, Warrior became the first wrestler to ever hold the World and IC title at the same time. His career versus career match with Randy Savage at WrestleMania 7 will also be remembered as an all-time classic. Years later, he would form the One Warrior Nation to unsuccessfully battle with the NWO. Outside of wrestling, he also created the Warrior comic. He's a former World and Intercontinental champion. PWI awarded him Comeback of the Year, Feud of the Year with The Undertaker, and Match of the Year with Hulk Hogan. He was also ranked number 9 in their top 500 in 1992. He was ranked twice in our top 10, number 2 in 1998 and number 4 in 1990. Up next, Verne Gagne. Verne Gagne was best known as the wrestler promoter of the AWA. He's a former 10-time world champion. He was also a tag and U.S. champion. PWI awarded him with the Stanley Weston Award. He is also in the WCW Hall of Fame. And finally, Wahoo McDaniel. The Chief was a huge star in the AWA and the NWA, known for his proud Native American heritage. He's a former tag and U.S. champion. PWI awarded him Most Popular Wrestler of the Year. He's also in the WCW Hall of Fame. So congratulations, everyone, the class of 2002.